الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد رسول رب العالمين على آله وأصحابه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وعملا وتقبلا يا أرحم الراحمين. والله teach us, benefit us, increase us in knowledge, in good morals and in good deeds يا رب العالمين. We continue by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's blessings in explaining منظومة المقدمة فيما يجب على قارئ القرآن أن يعلمه من نظم إمام الحفاظ وحجة القراء محمد بن علي بن يوسف ابن الجزري رحمه الله تعالى ونفعنا به. And we are still in باب الضاد باب الضاء باب الضاء. Imam Ibn al-Jazari رحمه الله تعالى as many other imams, they dedicated whole sections, whether in prose or poetry, whether in nasr or shi'r, to talk about this issue, which is the difference between dad and dha. Dad, the difference between dad and dha, two different letters. Many scholars, they talked about this. Why? Because people mix between them, okay, whether Arabs or non-Arabs, right? The Arab people who speak the correct classical Arabic, they don't, right? For example, we as people from Damascus, okay, or who lived in Damascus, we don't mix between dad and dha. We say darabni, da. Our kids, they say the letter correctly, da. We differentiate between darabni and, for example, dhabi, right? Is very big difference. We don't say da, we don't say dha, we don't say dha in the place of the dad. Okay. Likewise, many people in the Arab world, or most people in the Arab world, that's how they say the dad. No one can come and like after 14 centuries of the Arabic language or of the revelation of the Holy Quran and come and teach us, no, guys, you were saying this letter incorrectly, right? It doesn't make any sense, right? That's our language. We know it very well. And we say it by nature, right? Da, we say darabni, da, weno da. And in our slang, I'm talking even in our slang, we say dad, right? We use it with many verbs, with many words, right? Sometimes in our slang, we mix the dha with the dad. Instead of the dha, we say da. For example, in Damascus,
be off.
Sometimes we say, as people in Damascus, for example, we say naddarat. For the glasses, which is should be naddarat, right? We say naddarati, when naddarati. So sometimes we replace the dha with a dad, right? And some people in the Arab world and outside, they do the opposite. And instead of daraba, for example, darabni, they say darabni, right? They say darabni. So, and some people make it dha, as we mentioned, and this sound dha is another variation or variant of what? Who can remember? Who can remind us? I mentioned this before. Huh? The dha sound. It's a variation of what? No one remembers?
Because it's one of the
one of the variations of what? Or the variants of what? I thought you will save them. You would save the other students by knowing. It's a variation of what? The sad, right? It's called as-sadul mushammatu zayan. It's called the sad that is given the smell of a zay. See, it's a sad given like the smell of a zay. It's like a heavy zay, right? Like a heavy zay, okay? Or sad that has been given the smell of a zait. That's one of the variations of the sad in Arabic, and it is read as part of the Quran in some narrations, like Khalaf or Khalad. He said, Ihdina zirata instead of Ihdina sirata. So, as you can see, we know very well the letters and their variations and whether this is part of the Arabic language or not. Imam Ibn al-Jazari, rahimahullah ta'ala, just when you read the title, when you read the title of this section, Babu Dadi wa Dha, and of course he didn't put these titles, as I mentioned before. These are put by the scholars just to make it easier for the student and to distinguish every section from the other. That's why you see these types of brackets, right? This means they're not part of the poem. As I showed you also the manuscript of Al-Jazariyya on which Sheikh Ayman depended to make tahqiq of this poem, right? So, Bab al-Dadi wa-Dha. This is the Al-Bab al-Thamin, the 8th section in this poem. What does he say, rahimahullah ta'ala? And we're narrating this poem with a connected chain of narrators from our Sheikh Ayman Suwaid, may Allah preserve him, all the way to Imam Ibn al-Jazari, rahimahullah ta'ala, who is the Imam and Sheikh of Qurra of all times, besides the Sahaba, radiyallahu anhu, wa rahimahu, wa rafa'a darajati. What does he say? والضاد باستطالة ومخرج ميز من الضاء وكلها تجي في الظعن ظل الظهر عظم الحفظ أيقظ وأنظر عظم ظهر اللفظ ظاهر لظى شواظ كظم ظلما أغلو الظلام ظفر انتظر ظما أظفر ظنا كيف جاء وعظ سوى عظين ظل النحل زخرف سوى وظلت ظلتم وبروم ظلوا كالحجر ظلت شعران ظلوا يظللن محظورا مع المحتضر وكنت فظا وجميع النظر إلا بويل هل وأولى ناظرة والغيظ لا الرعد وهود قاصرة والحظ لا الحظ على الطعام وفي ظنين الخلاف سامي وإن تلاقي البيان لازم أنقض ظهرك يعض الظالم واضطر مع وعظت مع أفضتم وصفها جباههم عليهم. And we stopped on line 55. We stopped on line 55. We explained the makhraj of the dad again with the sifat of the dad, etc. And we stopped here. Last thing we explained, intadhir dhama. Now we move to line 55. If you don't see the screen or you see contradiction between what I'm saying and what I'm showing, please let me know. Don't be hesitant. If I make a mistake in English or in Arabic or in Tajweed or in anything, don't be hesitant to correct me. I will really be upset if I'm not corrected. If I make a mistake and no one corrects me, I get upset. I get annoyed. I might need to work sometimes for a long time to change the video, or so please correct me. Don't be hesitant at all. If you think I'm wrong, not if you're sure, even if you think, just tell me. Maybe sometimes you're right. No. What does he say in line 55? Adfara. So now he's telling you the words in general that come with Allah. Why? Who can tell me why he's not telling us the words that come with al-dad? Who can tell me? Huh?
Because they are less.
Because they are less, right? Because they are less. There are so many words that are with dad in the Quran. The ones that came with the dha are less. So he mentioned them to make it easier. Okay. Now, if you like, we might think that no, like the ones with dha are more, right? But let me give you just quick examples. Just let's try to remember some of those words that are in the Quran with the dad, okay? Or the basic, let's say some of the basic words. We have, for example, daraba, yadribu. We have nadara, nadra. We have yalla, everyone who remember a word with a dad in the Quran, tell me. We have damir. We have What else? I feel like there's more dha, right? But I think no, there are a lot of dad with a lot of words with the dad, or more words with dad, but like we're not familiar with them a lot. So we have darb, and every daraba, darban, yadribun, idrib, all the family. Al-ard, okay, al-ard, that's a different word. Okay, daraba, al-ard, nadra, ضامر, ضر, and ضر, right? الضراء, all this family of ضرة, يضر. Okay, these are 5 at least. Huh?
يفيدون قضبة.
ايش؟
قضبة.
قضبة. اضطر. الاضطرار. And it's mentioned here, by the way, it will come, inshallah. اضطر. ناظرة, it will come also, ناظرة. What else? خضر, أخضر, خضر, right?
فضل.
فضل, تفضل, فضل, يتفضل, all this family. Okay, so we have at least now 10 families of words, let's say. ضيزة, ضازه, from ضازه means unfair judgment. تلك إذا قسمة ضيزة. That's, it came only once in the Quran. Okay. وغيض الماء, he will mention it, غيضة, but indirectly. He doesn't mention it literally, but he alludes to it. He makes indication to it. Okay, what else?
Was the word ضفادع mentioned? Yeah.
ضفدع, yeah, والضفادع, right? والضفادع, exactly.
Was mentioned, yes.
Okay, to allude to something. Okay. Okay, so as you can see, there are more words with the dad, okay, and still we did not exhaust all of them. Still, there are many. So that's why he mentioned the words with dha, right? Maybe there are more words with dha, but as families of words, the dad are more. That's for sure, because some of, like, look at yadhunnun. It came 69 places in the Quran. So definitely the words that came with dha are more, but if we talk about families of words, the dad are more. Did you guys get the point? So we can mention this point here, inshallah. So when it comes to the words that came with dha, they are much more. I think that's the reason why we're not being able to remember all of them. But when it comes to the families of words, then the families of dad are more. That is why he mentioned the dha ones. Okay, wallahu a'lam. The dha. That's why he mentioned the dha ones. Okay, so أظفر ظنا كيف جا وعظ سوى عظين ظل النحل زخرف سوى. First of all, أظفر, it came only one time in the Quran. So I want you first to get familiar with the line, all of you. Unmute yourself and repeat with me. أظفر ظنا كيف جا. Quickly, please.
أظفر ظنا كيف جاء.
Okay, all of you, you're going to say it at once so that we don't have 10 voices, okay? أظفر ظنا كيف جاء.
أظفر ظنا كيف جاء.
أظفر ظنا كيف جاء وعظ سوى
وعظ
أظفر
all of it. أظفر ظنا كيف جاء وعظ سوى.
أظفر ظنا كيف جاء وعظ سواه.
عضين ظل النحل.
يضين ظل
يلا يا عمر،
النحل.
يلا يا هبة، يلا يا محمد، يلا يا all of you practice. عضين ظل النحل
يضين
يضين
ظل
ظل
النحل
النحل
زخرف سوى.
زخرف سوى.
سوى.
Okay, if you're not turning on your video nor your audio, maybe it means you're not here. Sheikh Muhammad is here. Okay, so يلا يا عمر فاروق, unmute yourself يا أخي. Put your video on, Umar. You have now you have a brother who's joining you. Wa alaikum salam. You have a brother who's joining you. Yeah, put your video on. Okay, so ظل النحل so عضين ظل النحل زخرف سوى.
عضين ظل نحل زخرف سوى.
يلا, who can tell me the whole line? أظفر ظنا كيف جاء وعظ سوى عضين ظل النحل زخرف سوى. يلا, who can say it? Umar Farooq, put your video on, please.
كيف جاء وعظ سوى عضين ظل النحل زخرف سوى. أظفر ظن كيف جاء وعظ.
يلا guys, no one can say it? Huh? أظفر ظنا كيف جاء وعظ سوى عضين ظل النحل زخرف سوى. I told you, if you learn the lines, inshallah, by the end of the Jazariyya, you have to know it just like your name, because we'll explain like 1 or 2 lines the whole week, right? Yalla. No one? But yalla, I'll give you a chance. Huh? Anyone want to try?
Yes, أنا.
Yalla, bismillah.
أظفر ظنا كيف جاء وعظ سوى عظين ظل النحل زخرف سوى.
ماشي, بارك الله فيك. ظل النحل. Anyone else? ما شاء الله. Anyone else? خلاص. طبيعي. طبيعي. أظفر. It came only one time in the Holy Quran. من بعد أن أظفركم عليهم. من بعد أن أظفركم عليهم. من بعد أن أظفركم عليهم. Here you have to pay attention to the of سورة الفتح, of course. وهو الذي كف أيديهم عنكم وأيديكم عنهم ببطن مكة من بعد أن أظفركم عليهم. سورة الفتح 48 آية 24. من بعد أن أظفركم عليهم. Here you're going to pay attention. أظفركم عليهم means he gave you control over them, or he make you get them, right? And get victory over them. Here you're going to pay attention to the hamza, make it light. من بعد أن أظ. You're going to go from the hamza, which is light, to the dha, which is heavy, then go to the fa, which is light. Like this. من بعد أن أظفركم عليهم. أظفركم. Like this. أظفر. ظنا. ظنا from الظن. الظن means conjunction, right? Conjunction or conjecture or like assumption, right? يا أيها الذين آمنوا اجتنبوا كثيرا من الظن. الظن is about what? Assumption or conjecture, I think.
Doesn't like doubts?
Doubt. Sometimes الظن in the Quran, guys, sometimes it comes in the meaning of certainty.
Yes.
For example, like in this ayah, الذين يظنون أنهم ملاقو ربهم. Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah 46. So this ظن and the words that are related to this word, يظنون, ظنا, نظن, all the words and the family of this word, there came in the Quran 69 times. The first of which is Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah 46. الذين يظنون أنهم ملاقو ربهم. It's describing the believers. Of their description is what? That those who يظنون أنهم ملاقو ربهم. If we're gonna say, so as I said, in Arabic, the general meaning of dhan is what? Just write the meaning of the word so that you get an idea when you read the line. You know what it's talking about, and it will help you to know the roots of words and the meanings of so many words that are related. When you see يظن, نظن, ظنا, you're going to remember this word, it's related to it, so you're going to give you at least a general idea. So الظن means what we said, the general meaning, doubt, right? Or assumption, right? That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, يا أيها الذين آمنوا اجتنبوا كثيرا من الظن إن بعض الظن إثم, right? Surah Al-Hujurat, right? Surah Al-Hujurat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us to avoid assumption or suspicion, right? To avoid assumption or suspicion about the believers, right? All believers in جاءكم فاسقون the ayah يا أيها الذين آمنوا اجتنبوا كثيرا من الظن, avoid many suspicions, right? Suspicions, for indeed some suspicions are sinful. So you don't judge people based on assumptions or suspicion, right? Here in this ayah, in Surah Al-Baqarah, it's talking about the believers. الذين يظنون أنهم ملاقو ربهم وأنهم إليه راجعون. الذين يظنون أنهم ملاقو ربهم وأنهم إليه راجعون. It doesn't make sense to say that it means those who think, because it's talking about the believers, guys. It doesn't make sense to say those who think they're going to meet their Lord and that they will return to him, and those who perform the prayer, etc. And that's why Imam Ibn Jarir al-Tabari, Shaykh al-Mufassirin, one of the great Salaf, and the Shaykh of Mufassirin, what does he say? He says, Al-Arabu qad tusammi yaqina dhannan wa shakka dhannan. That the Arabs sometimes consider certainty, they call it as dhann. Tamam? They call it as dhann. Okay? So here it means what? And those who are certain and sure of meeting their Lord, or they will return to their Lord and that they are meeting their Lord. Now, some scholars, I forgot, like Ibn Atiyah, I think one of the also great Mufassirin, he says no. He says dhann doesn't come in the meaning of certainty. But I don't know how he's going to explain those ayat. So, dhann and everything related to dhann, yadhunnun, nadhunnu, etc. كيف جاء, what does كيف جاء mean? However it comes. Yani the word dhannan and all the words related to this family, dhanna, dhanana. كيف جاء, however it comes, a verb, a noun, الظن, نظن, يظن, يظنون, etc. كيف جاء. And originally كيف جاء is what? It is what? كيف جاء. Right? But of course he skipped the hamza, he dropped the hamza for the necessity of the poem, of the rhythm. Tamam? And this is a correct Arabic dialect, right? To drop the hamza at the end sometimes. And it came in some of the qira'at of the Quran like Hisham and Hamza and others. Now, so أظفر ظنا كيف جاء وعظ. عظ means what? The wow means and. Wow here means and. عظ means what? Who knows?
Advise. Advise. It's amr of wa'd ya'idhu.
عظ means to advise, to give admonition. It's a فعل أمر. عظ from وعظ. This wow is and. It's not related to the verb. Okay? The verb here is عظ. So he took, as I mentioned, from every family of words, he's choosing one word. Sometimes it's a noun, sometimes it's a verb. Whatever the rhythm allow him. Tamam? And through that word, he's indicating to a whole family of words that share the same root or the same meaning. عظ from wa'adha, he gave admonition or advised. It came 25 times in the Quran, the first of which Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah 66, وَمَوْعِظَةً لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. Maw'idha is a moral, is admonition, is advice. مَوْعِظَةً لِلْمُتَّقِينَ is moral. وَعِظ So it's موعظة, not موعظة. It's يظنون. It's الظن, not الظن. It's أظفركم, not أظفركم. Two different things. وعظ سوى عظين. عظ سوى عظين. Siwa, who knows what siwa means here?
Despite,
Siwa.
except.
Siwa means except. It means it's like illa. It's like what? Illa. Siwa equals illa. So illa, who knows what do we call illa in Arabic?
حرف استثناء.
حرف استثناء. It's a particle of exception, right? Or exclusion, right? حرف استثناء. A particle of exception or exclusion. إلا. وعظ, except عظين. Except عظين. What's the difference between, what's the relation between عظ and عظين? عظين is not from the family of عظ or وعظ. So here, this is called استثناء منقطع. It's called irrelevant. That's how I translate it, just for now, at least. Irrelevant exclusion, or unrelated exclusion, or non-connected exclusion. Why? And pay attention to this point because it will come in the poem many times. Let me open another. Yeah, this same file, we can work on it here. Please pay attention to this quick Arabic grammar point so that we understand, because it will come a lot. And it came before, we explained it before, just quickly for those who were not there. In Arabic, if I want to make exclusion or exception, I'm gonna use illa or siwa. For example, if I want to say all the students came, جاء الطلاب إلا خالدا. Okay, جاء الطلاب إلا خالدا. The students الطلاب came except for Khalid. That's exclusion, right? I'm excluding Khalid. All the students came, but Khalid didn't come, except for Khalid, right? Is Khalid part of the students or no?
He
Yep.
is.
It is, right?
He is.
It is. Illa is called harf istithna, a particle of exclusion. Khalidan, what do we call him? Who knows in Arabic grammar? Khalidan, what do we call Khalidan?
المستثنى.
Mustathna. Mustathna bi illa. Mustathna, the excluded, right? The excluded noun, or the excluded thing. Okay, mustathna bi illa. Now, if I say جاء الطلاب, and notice that خالدا is mansub. Mustathna always mansub. The mustathna always mansub. Unless if there is nafi before it, then it will become for hasr, then it will be marfu. So here, generally, the mustathna or the excluded thing is part from the noun from which we excluded, right? المستثنى جزء من المستثنى منه. تمام. Khalid is apart from the students. It's related to students. But if I say جاء الطلاب إلا كتبهم, the students came except for their books. Does that make sense in Arabic? It does. But is the books part of the students? Are the books part of the students? No.
No, they're not.
It's not part of the students, right? That's why this is called istithna munqati'. Istithna what? Munqati'. Because the mustathna the thing that we excluded is not part of the thing from which we excluded. المستثنى ليس جزءا من المستثنى منه. So what does that mean? That's how the Arabs sometimes speak. So not always the mustathna has to be part of the mustathna minhu. Is that clear, guys? And this is how we understand the ayat that came in the Holy Quran so many times. فَسَجَدَ الْمَلَائِكَةُ إِلَّا إِبْلِيسَ. Right? Right or no? We always read in the Quran, all the angels prostrated except for Iblis. Well, that's not right to say except for Iblis. That's why, let me bring you back here to that sentence, to the istithna munqati, and tell you how we translate it. So here, illa here, we don't say except for. The best translation, I think, is to say, but not their books. And instead of saying the students came except for their books, you're going to say, but not with their books, or not their books. Tamam? Same thing here. When we say about Iblis, illa Iblis, when you translate, you don't say all the angels prostrated except for Iblis. Because if you translate it this way, the English listener, what will he think? Huh? He thinks Iblis means from the angels, but it's not. So how we should translate it? We should say what? So all the angels prostrated, but Iblis did not prostrate, or but Iblis rejected, etc. Still, that might be understood that he's from them, but at least it's less clear, right? So that's how istithna munqati. Istithna munqati. Any question so far? Is that clear? Any question about that point? So now he's saying, so for example, the clear Quran, ayah 34, he says, let me see. And remember, we said the angels prostrated. So they all did, but not Iblis. See, but not Iblis. That's the right translation. Okay? But not Iblis. And still he's putting a footnote and telling you Iblis is not an angel, etc. And it's clear in the Quran in Surah Al-Kahf. كَانَ مِنَ الْجِنِّ. He was of the jinn, not from the angels. Okay. You still see the word file, right? So we come back here. عِظْ وَعِظْ سِوَى عِظِينَ. It doesn't mean عِظْ except for عِظِين. No, because عِظِين is not part of the wa'adha group. It's with the dad. So here it means وَعِظْ, but not عِظِين, which is in Surah Al-Hijr, ayah 91, which came only once, which means part from عِظَ. The عِظَ is the part. So الَّذِينَ جَعَلُوا الْقُرْآنَ عِظِينَ, those who took the Quran or made the Quran like parts. They believe in part of it and they reject part of it. They believe in part of it, and they reject part of it. So who now accept parts of the Quran, rejecting others. الَّذِينَ جَعَلُوا الْقُرْآنَ عِظِينَ. They take whatever they like from the Quran, they reject whatever they don't like. So they made it like parts, right? الَّذِينَ جَعَلُوا الْقُرْآنَ عِظِينَ عِظِينَ. And here, when you read it, you pay attention to the kasra of the ayn, full kasra. عِظِينَ عِظِينَ. الَّذِينَ جَعَلُوا الْقُرْآنَ عِظِينَ. Okay? So وَعِظْ from مَوْعِظَة, but not عِظِينَ, which is in Surah Al-Hijr, ayah 91. So, أظفر ظنا كيف جاء وعظ سوى عظين ظل النحل. ظل النحل. ظل means بقي. ظل means what? بقي. ظل in Surah Al-Nahl and in Surah Al-Zukhruf. ظل النحل means ظل of Surah Al-Nahl. This is مضاف إليه. possessiveness or possessive relationship. ظل النحل زخرف means also ظل of الزخرف. Sawa means sawa. It's from what? From sawa. And also, as we mentioned, the Arabs sometimes drop the hamza at the end of their words. And he did that here to fit the rhythm. And he chose that dialect to fit the rhythm. So, ظل النحل زخرف سوا. ظل النحل, ظل in Surah Al-Nahl and ظل in Surah Al-Zukhruf sawa means they are alike, means both with dha. Okay? Surah Al-Nahl, ظل as we said means remained. ظل means remained. ضل means got lost, got misguided, misled, got lost. ضل it's in the Quran. يضل الضالين, Surah Al-Fatiha. Completely different from الضالين, which means those who remain. So you don't say غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. You change the meaning, right? So ظل, if you say ضل, you change the meaning. ضل means got lost. ظل means remained. ظل النحل, Surah Al-Nahl, ayah 58. ظل وجهه مسودا. Same ayah or part of the ayah, Surah Al-Zukhruf, ayah 17. ظل وجهه مسودا. That those who, when they, the Arabs, it's this ayah is rebuking the Arabs who used to, when they have a baby girl, right? Sometimes they will bury their baby girls alive. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? If you don't believe that, you're not a Muslim. If you don't believe that, you're not going to be a Muslim. If we tell you that it's in the Quran and mentioned literally and you deny it, you're not going to be a Muslim. So sometimes something like you're not, is it really like they used to bury them? What Allah is telling you in more than one verse, right? So whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us is more true than the truth itself. Like you can never doubt it, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, and rebuking those Arabs who used to bury their daughters alive, that when one of them, and yet, even though they used to feel ashamed of having girls, they ascribed girls to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He has daughters, right? And who are those daughters in their false belief? Who knows?
The angels.
Huh?
They claim the angels.
They claim the angels, Banatullah, right? They claim the angels were the daughters of Allah. Wal-iyadu billah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from misguidance and loss. Ta'ala Allah, glorified Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala above and beyond all what they claim. So, yet they ascribe the daughters to Allah, but when one of them has daughters, he feels ashamed. Look at this silly logic that they have, right? And see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also is teaching us this like logical argument, right? That how you guys, you yourself, you feel ashamed of having girls, then you attribute them to Allah. Like subhanallah al-azim. Ta'ala Allahu amma yaquluna uluwan kabira. Whenever one of them is given the good news of a baby girl, his face grows gloomy as he suppresses his rage. Subhanallah. So that's of some pagan Arabs. That's a very ugly practice. And the Holy Quran condemned it, of course, and abolished it in many verses. And now, of course, we have some people who come and with ignorance and claim that Islam degraded women and Islam. When we read history and we know the reality, we find that no religion has ever honored women more than Islam. Some people now might hear this, especially non-Muslims, and they think, oh, that's silly. But if we look at the reality, we know that in America itself, just recently, like maybe 200 years or less or more, they gave the women to have their own financial right to have their own independent financial properties, right or no? Am I right or no? Anyone knows this? So this is like just recently, but Islam 1400 years ago gave women their independent financial rights. That's just one example, let alone, of course, the degradation of women that we see in the West, etc., etc. You know, this is a long topic, but this is just one little example that Islam abolished all those types of degradation of women. And I mentioned in the hadith competition, the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, إِنَّمَا النِّسَاءُ شَقَائِقُ الرِّجَالِ. Surely the women are the twin halves of men. So that is about dhalla. Any question? And with this, we finish this line, inshallah. Any question about anything we mentioned so far? ظل النحل زخرف سوا. What I wanted to verify before we move on, sawa, as I mentioned, is in one of the qira'at, when Hamza or Hisham, they stop on this word, they stop with qasr. They stop with qasr. So they say sawa. As I told you, it's one of the dialects of the Arabs, and it came also in some of the qira'at, like the qira'ah of Hisham and Hamza. So that was line 55. Any question? Okay. Line 56. Anything here we missed? وظل ظل وجهه مسودا وهو كظيم. Okay, Bismillah. Line 56, and we'll finish it, inshallah. Try to finish it. وظلت ظلتم وبروم ظلوا وظلت ظلتم وبروم ظلوا كالحجر ظلت شعران ظلوا. يلا guys, unmute yourself and say وظلت ظلتم. يلا يا أخي، يلا يا أختي. وظلت ظلتم.
وظلت ظلتم.
ظلت ظلتم.
Anyone still wants to wake up? Anyone still wants to wake up and say that? All of you say it at one time. وظلت ظلتم.
وظلت ظلتم.
وظلت ظلتم.
وبروم ظلوا.
وبروم ظلوا.
وظلت ظلتم وبروم ظلوا.
وظلت ظلتم وبروم ظلوا.
كالحجر ظلت شعران ظلوا.
كالحجر ظلت
شعران ظلوا.
Anyone can say the whole line. وظلت ظلتم وبروم ظلوا كالحجر ظلت شعران ظلوا. وظلت ظلتم وبروم ظلوا كالحجر ظلت شعران ظلوا. Anyone got it? Anyone can say it?
وظلت ظلتم بروم ظلوا كالحجر ظلت شعران ظلوا.
MashaAllah, great job. You just missed the wow. وبروم. Okay, great job. You see, يعني just some try, you can get it. And just say it sometimes. خلاص, you get it. وظلت ظلتم وبروم ظلوا كالحجر ظلت شعران ظلوا. أظفر ظنا كيف جاء وعظ سوى واعظين ظل النحل زخرف سوى. وظلت ظلتم وبروم ظلوا كالحجر ظلت شعران ظلوا. وظلت. ظلت, it's a simplified form of like ظللت. Okay, ظللت. It's like يسطع. So it's like a simplified مخففة form. وانظر إلى إلهك الذي ظلت عليه عاكفا. Look at your God that you remained and sticked next to him, next to it. That's Sayyidina Musa saying to the Samiri, right, who made the calf. Surah Taha, ayah 97. So it is with a dha. الذي ظلت عليه. ظلت عليه means ظللت, means you remained. So ظل, it's still, he's talking about ظل, ظل. So he doesn't have always to tell you one word under which many words. Sometimes he mentioned more than one word that share the same root. Like here, وظلتم. It's from ظل, ظلل. وظلت. ظلتم. فظلتم تفكهون. فظلتم تفكهون means you remained. Surah Al-Waqi'ah, ayah 65. 65 means you remained talking or mocking or فظلتم تفكهون. Surah Al-Waqi'ah, ayah 65. Surah Al-Waqi'ah, ayah 65, which is what? Al-Waqi'ah 65. So how he's translating here تفكهون. Have you considered what you saw? أفرأيتم ما تحرثون? Is it you who cause it to grow, or is it we who do so? أنتم تزرعون أم نحن الزارعون؟ لو نشاء لجعلناه حطاما فظلتم تفكهون. If we willed, we could simply reduce this harvest to chaff, leaving you to lament. فظلتم تفكهون إنا we have truly suffered a great loss. In fact, we have been deprived of our livelihood. فظلتم تفكهون. So ظلتم, you remain lamenting yourselves, to lament yourself. So ظلتم means you remained, right? فظلتم تفكهون. Again, this is a simplified form of the verb. Okay, the verb is ظل يظل. ظللتم, I think the full form ظللتم. Okay. فظلتم تفكهون. فظلتم, make the fa light, not فظل fa. فظلتم تفكهون إنا لمغرمون. Okay. فظلتم تفكهون إنا لمغرمون. Okay. ظلتم. Now وبروم ظلوا. وبروم means and in the room, in Surah Al-Rum, ظلوا. So here he's mentioning for you all the ظل يظل ظلوا. وبروم ظلوا means they remained. لظلوا من بعده يكفرون. Surah Al-Rum 51. لظلوا not لظلوا. لا لام light ضاء heavy. لظلوا وبروم ظلوا كالحجر means also like الحجر, لظلوا يعرجون فظلوا فيه يعرجون. So وبروم ظلوا كالحجر, also like الحجر. ظلوا in Surah Al-Rum and also ظلوا in Surah Al-Hijr. كالحجر means like الحجر. Surah Al-Hijr ayah 14, chapter 15. فظلوا فيه يعرجون لقالوا. فظلوا فيه يعرجون لقالوا. فظلوا, they remain ascending in it. كالحجر. So وبروم ظلوا كالحجر. Now ظلت شعراء نظل. ظلت of the شعراء. ظلت in Surah Al-Shu'ara, and he also dropped the hamza for takhfif and for the rhythm. And it's a correct Arabic dialect. So ظلت of the شعراء, which is ayah 4. فظلت أعناقهم. فظلت أعناقهم لها خاضعين. فظلت أعناقهم, their necks remained submissive or submitted. فظلت or subjected. فظلت أعناقهم. So ظلت بقيت, remained, same until now, the same meaning. ظلت شعراء نظل, that we remain. نظل. Surah Shu'ara 71. So ظلت of the Shu'ara and نظل of the Shu'ara. So he used Shu'ara in the middle to include both. فنظل لها عاكفين. So we remain next to it, permanent or sticking to it, etc. فنظل. Okay, so that's the line. Very easy. وظلت ظلتم وبروم ظلوا كالحجر. ظلت شعراء نظل. Then he moves يظللن محظورا مع المحتضر وكنت فظا وجميع النظر, etc. Inshallah, we're gonna take that, which is line 57, next time, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills. And I think inshallah we can stop here. Anyone has any question about anything we said today? I think it's very easy, inshallah. You can memorize it, learn those words, those meanings. It will help you, inshallah, understand the Quran and know the roots of the words and know the families of the words that will help you get a general meaning, inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. The classes, these classes are restricted to the members at this time. I thought to restrict them to the members of the channel. So you're not going to see them unless you're a member in the channel. But since you're in the Ijazah program or the teacher program, you don't have to join the channel as a member. I'm uploading them on the drive, or I can send you a link to that video. So if you missed the video, or you want to take the notes, or you want to review something, and you're not a member, let me know so that I send you the link, inshallah, to the video. Because these are detailed classes that are not, they don't matter the general public. And I explained the Dad in many lessons that are available for everyone. Any question about anything we said today?
Yes, I have a question before we
Yes.
go. فظلت أعناقهم.
نعم. فظلت أعناقهم لها خاضعين.
Does أعناقهم here means necks or their soul?
Their soul.
أرواحهم يعني.
أرواحهم. No, it means أعناق is the necks. But now the meaning of the ayah, what's the beginning of the ayah? اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد ولو نزلنا عليهم أعناقهم. The beginning of the ayah, Surah Al-Ra'd.
شعراء.
No, Surah Al-Shu'ara, I mean. إن نشأ ننزل عليهم. إن نشأ, if we want, ننزل عليهم من السماء آية فظلت أعناقهم لها خاضعين. If we want, إن نشأ ننزل عليهم, we can reveal to them or show them a sign from the heaven, فظلت أعناقهم لها خاضعين, to which they completely submit. So the literal meaning, if you want, is that they submit. Okay, they like with their necks, they submit to that sign. The general meaning is that we can force them to follow the iman if we want. We can show them a sign that will force them to believe. But Allah doesn't want this. Allah wants, subhanahu wa ta'ala, doesn't want to show us the full certainty, because if He shows us the full certainty and all the proofs like crystal clear, then everyone will believe, will have no choice, right? But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kept some unseen things that we have to believe in. He kept some things unseen to us so that we believe in those things. Not blind belief based on proofs and evidence, but He did not show us everything. And that's why in Surah Al-Baqarah, in the very beginning, about the characteristics of the believers, He said, what? الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. Right in the beginning of the Quran, He's telling you, those who believe in the unseen, those are the believers or the muttaqeen. So the general meaning of the ayah, yes, that they submit, okay, with their souls, with their, but أعناقهم, it means what? Their necks. So this is an expression when the neck submits, right? This is an what do they call it? كناية عن الخضوع. Because when someone lowers their neck, it's a sign of what? Submission, right? Submission. So it was used as a metaphor for the spiritual submission. Wallahu subhanahu wa ta'ala a'lam. Barakallahu feekum. So here when we translate it, we have to when we translate it, we have to mention the meaning. Tamam? We can put a footnote to explain that this is a term that means this. But when we translate it, if you want just simple translation, you're going to say what? That they would have submitted to it. You're not going to tell me, wallah, they would have lowered their necks for it, right? You're going to say, yeah. And that's, I think, Surah Shu'ara, I think that's how the clear Quran translated, hopefully. Chapter 26. So the class is over. You can guys leave. Jazakumullah khairan, unless you like to if you have a question. So Surah Shu'ara, Ayah 4. If we willed, we could send down upon them a compelling sign from the heavens, leaving their necks bent in utter submission to it. Yani, he got the meaning. Yani, still he mentioned the word necks, which is still yani works, right? So he leaving their necks bent in utter submission to it. So it's understood that yani, now when he said in utter submission, means it's a metaphorical submission with the necks. So it's submission of the soul, as you said.
واحد بده 50 60 جملة عشان يفسر كلمة.
نعم سبحان الله العظيم. هذا كلام رب العالمين. ماشي، بارك الله فيكم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك، أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت، أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. صلى اللهم على سيدنا محمد وآله وأصحابه أجمعين، والحمد لله رب العالمين.